Yep. Hey everyone, welcome to another student interview. Today I'm joined by Liam, one of my students, and of course me, Frederick here. And in this interview, we'll just be talking about Liam's journey. Liam, you joined us back in December 2023. It is now early March, right, here in 2024. And I remember when you joined, you were doing around $2,000 per month with your agency. And I believe you crossed $6,000 in last month in February, right? So this interview, bro, is just for us to have a little chit chat about what happened, your journey, some tips and tricks for people out there maybe watching this and thinking to themselves, I would also love to start a business. Because your age doesn't lie, bro. You're a bit of a young gun, not gonna lie. How old are you, bro?
I'm 15.
That's solid. So let's say, bro, what do you think has happened here over the last 3 months?
So I think when I joined Short Form Society, I was at a point where I just didn't know where to go. I was one of the people who was already making a couple thousand for my agency, but I just wasn't growing. It was like there were all these roads to take, and I was just lost. I didn't know where to actually go. And so with Short Form Society, I don't know how much but there's a 100 episode video course, and like I watched through that, and it gave me a really great direction of where I should actually go. Like, okay, I need to do this to find people a message. I need to send this message. After they respond, I need to send this. Okay, I'm not gonna follow what the gurus are telling me, because by the way, this is like where I really, really resonate with and respect Frederick with is I'm not gonna say any names, but you probably know them in the short form space. They'll be telling you, no, just run a community funnel. Like message people, I'm gonna run the community funnel. Frederick comes in like, bro, ignore these people. I want you to do a market research call with someone in the niche, right? I want you to get on this market research call. I want you to ask them questions, and I want you to design an offer that they'd actually want. And so I'll be honest, I kind of skipped over this and I really, really regret it. But I got on a call with someone doing ecom, and I worked out a really crazy pain point, which they all were like, they all wanted to build brands, but there was this pain point which I made my offer around, and they all wanted. I would say it, and like 90% will be like, yo, let's jump on a call. And so with Frederick, I had a bad offer. He made my offer good, not by just telling me what to do so that I wouldn't understand it, but telling me the principles so that now if I wanted to change niches, I would know how to create a really good and desirable offer. He told me how to send good messages, how to get people on calls, how to sell to people on calls, how to speak well, and everything else that's really necessary to run a good business.
I appreciate the words, brother. I think even though you give us some credit, I also believe that we got you towards the right direction. But I think there's only one person that you can really thank for you being where you are today, right? And that is you, bro. Like you worked
100%.
extremely hard. I know that you basically just
Yep.
took all of the tools and resources that we had, and then you just executed. Like, I think both me and Alex has talked about it. Like you're always just fucking hitting up with questions, you know? So like now I've done this,
Yeah.
what do I need to do? And that is the perfect
Yep.
student, right? Because you take the decision, you do the work, and then you stumble upon a new thing where you need some feedback or some guidance or you need help with a question. Then we give you some tools, and then, as you said, you now have such a strong foundation when it comes to business, sales, service delivery that you know exactly what to do with it. So very good, bro, and we're very proud of you, and you
Yep.
should be proud of yourself too. So let's look at
Thank
it
you very
from
much.
like your day to day, bro. You're 15 years old. Like, how would a normal day look for you?
Yeah. So just to quickly touch on what you said before, I just want to clarify, it's not some secret formula and then you're going to be making a lot of money, because it does take hard work and it does take making mistakes and asking questions. I would stay up till like, if this was in my school holidays, because I still go to school, I would be staying up till 1 a.m. just sending outreach, going to sleep, waking up, sending outreach, waiting till my Instagram account would cool down, sending more outreach. Like it does take work, but what Frederick teaches gets people to respond. It gets, people to resonate with your offer and to really like it. Now to talk about my day-to-day life, it's literally wake up, go to school, come home from school, get on my computer, do client work, send outreach messages, create content, and then, maybe I'll get to the gym if I have time. Some days I'll have a meeting or something pop up, but I don't do much other than work.
I think like obviously I can resonate with that, bro, because that's also my life and I really enjoy it. I know for a fact that you like it too, but there will probably be
Yep.
a lot of people maybe watching this on the fence to maybe start a business and they don't know whether to go down the business route or not. So I think it's very good that you're very honest with that it takes a lot of work. And like, what do you respond to people, maybe your friends that is looking at what you're doing and like, bro, fucking get a life, man. All you do is work. Like, what is your thoughts on that question and how do you usually get back to them?
What else are you gonna do? Like, if
True.
I'm not doing this, I'm gonna be playing what, a Fortnite, and that's just, no offense, not what I do. Like, I don't like that stuff. I'm not, I think to anyone on the fence about starting business, it's not as good as people on social media will make it out to be. Andrew Tate, Iman, they'll all make it to be some, like, most of the time anyway, easy thing where you make lots of money. They don't really talk about how it is. You can be, like, even at my age, get stressed. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of mistakes. But I think as long as you're driven, which you might be even thinking like, am I driven? Because I definitely, when I heard someone say that back a year ago, I would be like, am I? And I was really hoping that I was. And so maybe that hope is like a sign that you are. I'm not 100% sure, but I think as long as you're driven and you have a really long-term goal, because I've seen people, friends of mine who have tried starting. One guy within 2 days, he stopped. And I think that was because he had a really short-term vision. My vision is super long-term, 10, 20 years down the line. Theirs was like 2 weeks. I want to make $1,000 and then I want to like go to the shops and buy stuff and like flex basically.
Yeah. And that's definitely not the move, right? Like I think it's the perfect combination of having something long term that you work towards and then hopefully finding a business that like resonates with you and something that you enjoy to do. And I think that's also been the main thing, like looking at you, bro, is that when you came to us when you were doing 2K, you were also very like insecure on like the things that you were delivering. Like, can I charge for this? And what about this?
Yep.
And what about this service? And what if the client says that? So I think the coolest thing for me is not the fact that you're making 6K, the numbers don't lie, but like for me, it's been the person that you've kind of like turned into in such a short period of time, right? Like you're way more considerate with the things that you do, the actions you take, the way that you handle clients, even though that the clients might be 10, 15 years older than you still come in and you get the job done. And that is the main thing. That is something that no matter if you're running an agency in a year or two, it's skills that you can just have the rest of your life, right?
And
So
people,
yeah, exactly. People skills, network, the people you meet along the journey. It's like it's a beautiful loop to be in. So I think, bro, like, how do you? Because when I was thinking back when I was 15, like, oh damn, like I wasn't capable and able to start a business back then. So like, what are some of the thoughts that you have for the future? Like some of the goals and these kind of things. What is that drives you?
I want to make 15K in March, which is now. I'm already 6 days through, which is a bit scary since I've done, I think, 5 in the last 4 weeks. So that's not exactly March, but like I want to get that to 15K. And the ways I'm doing that is tons of cold outreach, 2x my cold outreach normal, and then also experimenting with boost posts. But can you quickly repeat that question just so I can touch on it a bit more in depth?
Of course, bro. It's just I think you mentioned that the things that kind of like drives you is the vision and goals that you have for the future. So you mentioned, for example, some of your friends have a very short-term horizon and probably the reason to why they quit very fast. But you mentioned that you're looking like 2, 3, 4, even 10 years ahead in the future. So I just wanted to like hear what kind of goals and dreams that you have for yourself and for your business.
I think I always knew that I would want to be something different compared to like everyone else,
Yeah.
doing something different. And also just, I always knew I would be wealthy. I always knew I'd be successful. I just didn't know how. And on TikTok, I think a year or two ago, I would start seeing these tape videos. I'd start seeing these money videos. And I was like, I can do this now. Like, I don't need to wait until I'm older to make a decision. I can do this now. And it took a lot of failures, it took a lot of mistakes, but I've just been driven by this thing, reading books. One of my clients says this exact same thing. He said he always knew he'd be one of those guys in suits in the tall buildings in the city. Like he didn't know what they were doing, just making money. And he wanted to be that. That was the same as me. From even before I heard him say that, it was the exact same. And so I've just always been driven to be something. And now the opportunities presented itself to me where I am. So I just took it, and I have been driven because I always had that long-term vision. I always knew I wanted to be wealthy. I wanted to be successful. I want to have cars. I want to buy other people cars, help other people, travel around, everything that's kind of spoken about, but for like a deeper reason,
Yeah, I think very good answer. And I think a lot of people, they will probably maybe listen to this and think you're might be a little cocky or arrogant because you said what you said. Like, you knew for a fact that you were always going to be wealthy at some point, right? You didn't know the vehicle, you didn't know how to get there, but I had the exact same feeling, bro.
Yeah.
And a lot
And
of
if you
people
have that
will.
feeling, it's definitely a good sign.
Exactly. And that of course comes from having a really good childhood with loving parents and people supporting you, because that builds like a fundamental belief in yourself as a person, right? And then it's just the things that you get exposed to, because the things that you get exposed to and the things that you consume is going to be the way that you see things. And you stumble upon Tate and you
100%.
saw this lifestyle and these kind of things, and then you combined it with a strong self-belief from having a good upbringing and succeeding with other things in life. And then you combined it and you found the right vehicle, and then you took relentless action every single day, no matter what age you had, whatever, and now you're here. So I think it's very important that people shouldn't look at you, Liam, and think this is impossible, right?
Yep.
They should look at you and then understand the tools and resources and the things that you did, because then they can do the same. So I think it was a really good answer.
Yeah.
Very good. It's
100%
nice,
agree.
bro.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to follow the journey, not gonna lie. And I think it's cool that I can be a part of it. That's good, bro. Do
Yep.
you have any
You've been a great
advice?
help.
Do you have any advice for people watching this? Like, maybe they're considering starting a business. Like, how did you kind of like go about it from watching these Tate clips on TikTok and like have it built kind of like building this vision that, hey, this is something I want to do? What did you do from that point on in order to actually get stuff done?
There's two things. There's what I did, and there's what I do now. Because what I did is not what I do now. What I did was watch probably, I'd want to say 100, but if I'm being realistic, probably closer to 10 hours of these like make money online videos,
Yep.
and they were telling me like transcribe videos for $2 an hour, like answer surveys on your phone, all this stuff. And I was just like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I tried drop shipping. I tried all that, but based off what I've learned now from experience, and this isn't like just to say join Frederick's program, but if I were to start a different business tomorrow, the number one thing I'd do is just like literally pay someone who's done it successfully to take me there. And maybe you're thinking Liam's just trying to get people into Frederick's program. Liam's just trying to help Frederick. But honestly, you'll learn if you don't do this, because I definitely did. There's gonna be sections where you just don't know what to do. And the videos on YouTube don't answer that because the questions and the problems are so niched. And that's when having someone to really like look at where you're at and help you comes in handy. So the number one thing will literally be get a mentor and take massive action. And to add on top of that, I can testify that Frederick's program is great, but that's not to say everything I just said was just to join. Genuinely, getting a mentor gives you direction. It gives you accountability because you pay them, you have to work, otherwise you just waste their money. And you can always see that if it paid off for them, it can pay off for you. You have
Yep.
access to them.
Exactly. And I think a good answer, because it's the exact same thing that I do, right? Like, Liam ran into some problems and places where he hasn't been before, which made him a bit insecure. Find someone else that has been through those tasks and trenches. And then you just exchange money for their time, and then they teach you everything that they know so that you can get to your goals faster. And it doesn't matter where you are in your journey, right? Like, it's the same thing in my business. I also have mentors, because every single month when we scale and we do better, we also run into new problems. And then we need people that has been through these problems before. And then we pay them. Then they help us, and then we scale, right? So I think it doesn't really matter whether you decide to join short form society or whatever, as long as you just decide to join something. Because it is
Exactly.
also
And
what Liam said, you have to push yourself. And when you come
Yep.
from a very good country like Denmark, Australia, right? You've grown up with roof over your head, you have food on the table, good friends, an amazing fucking life. So you cannot be pushed with if you don't invest any money, because the money is the
Exactly.
thing that is gonna push you, because you're gonna wake up and say, holy shit, if I don't do this and I don't get to work, then I'll waste this money. And if you haven't invested any money, then we'll just wake up and be like, I think
Yeah,
I'll just take a fortnight today, right?
exactly. There's nothing really pushing you to work, because I always say this, and I think you've heard me say this. I always say there's like levels, like it's almost like a staircase,
Yeah.
and the most dangerous place to be is at the bottom of the staircase, because you don't have to go down. Like I would say from step 0 to step 1 is just closing your first client, because as soon as you get to that level, you close your first client, it's then like you can't just quit, because number one, it's worked. And number two, you have people relying on you. Maybe you have a video editor who's relying on you to pay them. The client is obviously relying on you to deliver the service. You probably want to get the client on another month, because it's like, whoa, this guy just paid me $1,000 over the internet. Like, it's nuts. I'm 15. I got a guy in like, some country on the other side of the world send me $1,000 to do his social media. Like, well, I'm just gonna quit tomorrow. It doesn't work. Like, you need to get to this point, and not even like genuinely, where I feel like now I I wouldn't and I couldn't quit, because it's like I've just come too far already.
Exactly. And I think the way you put it is like perfect, right? Because it all it takes is just a mindset shift. Because as you said, when a stranger pays you money on the internet, and they actually are very happy about paying you money because they know that you'll help them by saving them time, getting them more revenue, solving their
Yeah,
problems, then you literally find yourself in this loop where it's like you help businesses generate more money, help more people, and they pay you for your time and your knowledge and your expertise. And it's fully remote and you can do it, and it brings value to this world. Then you can never go out and do something else, right? When you've seen it,
exactly.
when you've understand it, it's like, damn, this is just the beginning.
Yeah. And the story behind my first client, I always love to tell this. I don't know how much everyone knows about Australia. I'm from Sydney. I was in Queensland, which is like, I was 1,000 kilometers away. So I was in a caravan, and I had an entrepreneur reach out to me for my content. And he was like, yo, do you offer short form content? I was like, yes, bro. Turns out the guy makes over $1 million a month. When he said that to me on the call, I was like blown away. But I got on the call with this guy. I was making so many mistakes on the call, but he was like, yeah, he was a good guy. He was patient. I think you could probably tell it was my first time, because I was like trying to pitch him on a community funnel and he just wanted content. But at the end of the day, I pitched him on the content. It was 1,500 US, which was 2,300 Australian. No objections. He literally just said, is that per week or per month? Per month. Sweet, send me the invoice. Let's go. And after the call, I was just like looking at my phone, 2,300 Australian, because obviously I think in Australia, I was like, this is nuts. Like, this
Yeah.
is, the amount two of my school teachers would earn in a week combined. Like, it's just mind-boggling, and that feeling, nothing better than that. As soon as you get there, you probably never turn around, because it's just a nuts experience, especially in a caravan in the middle of Queensland.
Yeah, I think it's a sick story. And I think everyone will remember their first client, right? Because it's just such
Yeah,
a huge milestone, because it also took a lot of work to get to that first client. And in my opinion, the first client is always the hardest. Like, once you
yeah,
break it, you suddenly there becomes obligations to deliver a service. There's people depending on you, and you had the mindset shift. But a lot of people, they never really
yeah,
get to that point because they either blame other things that it doesn't work, or maybe they don't get the work done because they find it very uncomfortable, and they're scared of getting on a sales call, which is fair enough, but you just got to push through it, right? If you want to do more than the average person, then you also got to go through more shit than the average person goes through. So I think it's good that you've
yeah.
learned these life lessons at such a young age. It's going to
And I
set you
think
up major for success.
I think sales calls aren't as scary as people think. I remember I would be super scared to hop on calls. Like, I'd be joining group calls and I'd be on mute, and I'd be like so scared to even say anything. Didn't even have my camera on. And the way I got out of that was just purposely joining calls, turning on my mic, speaking, basically turning on my camera, speaking. And when it came to that first call, I think you'll find a lot of entrepreneurs, you might have some stereotype, but they're actually really like nice people. My first calls, the guys were like, bro, you can't do this on sales calls. Like, you can't say this, you need to say this. There've been multiple occasions where people literally taught me what to say. Like, I think I told you this, Frederick. One guy was like, bro, you can't just be having a good conversation with me and then say, let's switch to business.
Yeah.
Like, you have to kind of slowly bring it to it, slowly like bring it from this live conversation to talking about business, to talking about work. And then you can kind of link it, in a sales module, which Alexander taught. You're asking the questions about where they're at, where they want to go, what's holding back, and all the other sales gems which are in there. And I just think calls aren't as bad as people really think they are.
I agree. And it's just because we call them a sales call that people get nervous, right? Like, it's literally just like this. It's just me chilling in my room here and another cool person, and both people have a mutual interest. I want to help Liam scale his business. Liam needs help with scaling his business. And now we're just going to have a genuine conversation about how we can make this work for both parties. And Liam has problems and he has money, and I have knowledge and I know how to help Liam. And then it's just an exchange. Cool. We just talk about it. Human beings, chilling, problems have solved. Liam walks away with a nice feeling that he got his problem solved. And I get paid for what I'm worth, for my time and for my efforts and the things that I've built over the past 2 years. So it's just because that we add an outcome to it that we get nervous, right? So I think it was a really good note, and it's just about doing it. You felt uncomfortable about being on calls. How many calls can I get on to realize that it's actually not that scary? And that's just the mindset, right? Good stuff, bro. Do you have anything that you would like to add before we wrap it off?
I think that's a really valuable point just there. Like, if you're nervous to do something, the only way to not get nervous is to do it. And so my philosophy was, because before I joined Frederick's program, I was using a sales script. And the problem with that was entrepreneurs, a lot of the time, and I did say before, sales calls aren't scary, but a lot of the time they sometimes test you and kind of bring you off script. And so when I was learning sales, my first, I think, 2 or 3 calls were terrible. And I realized I'm going to stop trying to get on calls with big entrepreneurs, because if my sales are bad, then I'm missing out on opportunity. So I messaged a ton of network marketers, making like literally 2K a month. And it's so easy to get on calls with these guys. Like, you literally just tell them your service will make them more money, ask them a call, and they'll get on a call and try and like get you to only do some commission payment. But I got my sales skills better. I was getting to the point where they wanted to join, but they just didn't have enough money. And then when it came time, because I'd already made all the mistakes with the network marketers, which the stakes weren't high on because they weren't going to pay anyway. When it came time to get on the calls with the big guys, I'd already got like my speaking skills at a really good level. I could already, understand sales, work out where people are at, where they want to go, how to pitch to them, how to speak to them, how to speak to their pain points, how to mirror them and speak with the words that they're using and everything like that.
Exactly. It's just practice makes perfect, right? Like, you have to understand, as a business owner and an entrepreneur, you're like an athlete. And athletes don't play important games every single day. They train the entire week to be ready for Saturday when the important game is. And Liam, you realize, bro, that these people, that is your dream client, that is like the Champions League final, right? So you had a lot of practices against all of these network marketers, fucking just practicing your sales skills, your communication skills, objection handling, all of these things, so that you could be ready for the call with the big boys, the big entrepreneurs, the Champions League final. You practice the entire week. Of course, you're going to do well because you prepared for it, right? I think it's a very good note to kind of end things on, is that practice makes perfect and takes a lot of time. But if you do it continuously over and over again, it's not a question if it's going to happen. It's just when it's going to happen. It's just delayed gratification, just like Liam, have a long time horizon, do the right things every single day. It will be tough, but it will be very, very worth it. So I appreciate you taking the time for the interview, bro. I think a lot of people can learn a lot of stuff from you, no matter age or experience or whatever. No one can take it away from you that you scaled a business from $2,000 a month to $6,000 a month in less than 3 months. Like that's 3xing your revenue, and that is pretty good. That is very, very good. And I know for a fact that I'll never see you under 6K again, because now, hey, you're a person that deserves it. So good shit. Keep it up, bro. Anything you want to add?
First of
Put you on
all,
the spot.
I do think that this program is like, it is just good because, to be like completely transparent, I've been in, I don't want to say names, but I've been in the people which you're thinking about, because I remember messaging Frederick like, hey, I want to join, you know, Harvey Warner's, I want to join, you know, Nick's, I want to join all these other ones. Like, what sets you apart? And when I finally, like, I guess, jumped on a call with Frederick, I could kind of tell that he's been in the game for the longest. And by the way, I'd already joined all of, like, you know, the cheap ones. And I really respect the guys running them, but not to even be like rude, but they just, there wasn't much effort, you know. It would be like you'd open it up and they like hadn't even completed some of the course material. Like you'd see it in the offer section, they had all these things, and you join and the course was incomplete. And they'd be like missing the group course. They'd be missing the one-on-one course. And for this, I just think Frederick has been in the game for a long time and he's got the results to prove him. I am one of the results. And I just think everything about short form society is great. And I don't have a script or anything. This is just, it's just genuine.
I appreciate it a lot, bro. I really, really do. And I think I would never ever say a bad word about the competition either. I haven't talked to the guys personally that you mentioned. I know they're probably very, very good at what they're doing. But I think we also just have a few, like we probably just have a different way of looking at teaching stuff to people, right? I think that's also what you realized, Liam, when joining. There wasn't like any fluff or any magic, because what I've learned from running my business and scaling it to the numbers that we've scaled to now is that 80% is just fundamentals. And if you become insanely good at the fundamentals and you understand it, then you can always add the 20% last that is going to give you an edge. But if you don't have the 80% nailed, then the 20% is not going to matter, because you can't build something on something that isn't there, right? So I think it was good that we could kind of like reprogram you, give you the crazy good foundations, good at communication, really good at understanding people, communication, people's pain points, and how to remove that pain and how to charge for it and how to deliver it. Because that is just a service business 101. So I think it was a good note to end it on. I appreciate your time, brother. I'll also link all of Liam's socials under this video. Feel free to follow him. I think if you also have a question, whether it's about business or life or how to get started, I think Liam is just one question away. He also has a really good agency service. So if you're a coach or consultant or a person watching this and you need content, if you need more rev, if you need more consistent meetings booked for your product or whatever you're selling, send the guy a message.
100%. Won't disappoint. Pleasure speaking with you, Frederick.
Likewise, brother. And thank you to the person who watched this. If you want to learn more about short form society as well, also in the description. Thank you again, Liam.
Thank you very much, Frederick.